Okay, we are in Chapter 9, Multiple Sheet Workbook Management, and the hands-on exercise number 3. What we've done is we've worked with one particular worksheet and we've linked multiple sheets together, or one particular file and linked multiple sheets together, and then we worked with multiple files and linked them together. Now we're going to open up the file that we have not used yet, and that's the Fort Wayne file. So I'm going to go ahead and save and close the other files I had open from hands-on exercise number 2, and I'm going to go ahead and open the Fort Wayne file. Immediately when I open the Fort Wayne file, it says you have a circular reference. We're going to fix that in a second because in this hands-on exercise we're going to be working with things like error checking. So we're going to learn about formula audits and data validation in this exercise. We're going to learn how to trace precedents and dependents, check for errors, set up a watch window, create a validation rule, and specify inputs and alerts. So let's get to work. Just click OK on the circular reference. We're not going to fix that until a little bit later. Again, this is the Fort Wayne. If you look at the mode, it's in ready mode and there is a circular reference. Let's kind of just quickly click through the worksheets. If I click on the quarter 2 worksheet, it says this is where the circular reference is in cell E11. If I click in quarter 3, quarter 4, or the yearly totals, there's another one. Circular reference is in C11, okay, of the yearly totals. So I have 2 that I need to fix. If I'm not in the worksheet that has the circular reference, it just says you have a circular reference. It doesn't tell you what cell. If you're working with the sheet that does have the circular reference, it'll tell you exactly where it is. Okay, let's get started on tracing dependents and precedents. Put your cursor in cell B3 and we're going to go to the Formulas tab, something we haven't really used that much in this class. And now in this formula auditing area we have trace precedents, trace dependents, and a button to remove those arrows. We also have error checking, evaluate formulas, and show formulas. Let's go ahead and click on trace dependents when we have our cursor or the active cell in B3. And it points to an arrow across row 3 to cell E3, and it points down to cell B11. And what it's saying is this cell right here, B3, is used in a formula for B11. It's also used in a formula for E3. And if I was to click on E3, it says sum B3 through D3. And if I was to click on cell B11, it says sum B3 through B10. So that particular cell, B3, is used in 2 different formulas in this particular worksheet. Now I want you to put your cursor on cell E11. And we're going to do trace precedents. So it's saying in B3, it's where is this formula being used, or where is this cell being used in a formula. If we do trace precedents, it's how is this answer generated, what formula is used to generate this answer. So I'll do trace precedents, and this particular cell comes from the sum of these 3 cells, B11, C11, and D11. And if I put my cursor in E11, that's what it says, sum B11 through D11. It could have also said sum of E3 through E10, and the arrow would have been down here as well. Alright, now to get rid of the arrows we just created, let's click on the remove arrows and then save this file. Our next step is to learn about error checking. So let's go ahead and click on the quarter 2 sheet where we know it has a circular reference in cell E11, and we're going to work with the error checking. So let's come over here to error checking. Okay. Actually, let's put our cursor in E1 or A1. Let's go to error checking, and notice we have error checking, trace error, and circular references. Let's go ahead and select error checking. Alright, it says you have a formula that has an error in E3. It's E3 is the sum of C3 and D3. It should be the sum of B, C, and D. So for some reason we've omitted B3 from this formula that's in E3. So now we want to go ahead and update the formula to include the cells. So we need it to include the adjacent cell B3. So let's update that. The error checking is complete for the entire sheet. Okay, that's great. Now, let's go back and we'll go to error checking, and this time circular reference and E11. It puts our cursor in E11 and it doesn't fix the problem for us, but it says, okay, look at the formula and see where you've made the mistake. Well, the mistake is that E11 should be the sum of B, C, and D11, but we've got it as the sum of B, C, D, and E11. We need to quickly change that to D, and now our formula works. If we were to go error checking, there isn't a circular reference, so it doesn't even give us the option for that. So go ahead and hit save. So we found one mistake in the formula for E3, and we found a second mistake in a circular reference, and those have both been cleared up. Go ahead and hit save. Okay, now we're going to learn about setting up watch windows. We're going to put our cursor in the yearly total sheet, so we've selected the yearly totals from the Fort Wayne sheet, and we're going to select the range B3 through F3. And then we're going to go ahead and from the formulas area, we're going to click on watch window. Okay, and let's kind of expand that out. And we're going to add a watch. Select the cells that you would like to watch the value of, yearly totals B3 through F3. Let's go ahead and click add. So now we're watching those totals. Let's click on the quarter 4 sheet. The watch window remains on the screen. Okay, and the current athletic apparel total is $355, 957.21, and that's shown right here in our watch window. And the other thing that's in our watch window is the total athletic apparel sales, so of 1.306. Click on cell D3, okay, and we're going to enter in 175,000. Okay, and we'll hit enter. Notice that the watch window has shown us that there's a change in cell E3 of that particular worksheet. The totals in the yearly totals have changed because of this number has changed as well. So we see that updating in our watch window as a formula in a prior spreadsheet has changed. We get to see that in the watch window. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and click watch window again, and that hides it. But if we clicked it back, we still have that watch going. Okay, the next thing that we're going to learn about is creating a validation rule. We believe that maximum revenue should be no more than $500,000 in our quarter 4 exercise equipment, footwear, and camping gear. So if these values go above 500,000, we want it to give us a little message indicating that we might have an error. So let's go ahead and click on the quarter 4 worksheet. Once we've done that, okay, so we have our October, November, and December. We're going to select the range B4 through D4. Okay, and on the Data tab, we're going to do Data Validation. Okay, and from that, we'll do Data Validation as well. Okay, so we need to work with all of these. Okay, allow decimals between okay, I'm sorry. Where it says between, we're going to change it to less than or equal to, and our maximum is going to be 500,000. So for cells B4 through D4, it has to be less than or equal to 500,000. Okay, if it's not, let's click on the input message, and we'll title this sales data. And our little input message will be enter the sales amount for the respective month. Okay? Alright, and then we'll go over to the error alert tab. And we have a couple of options. We can do stop warning or information. Let's do a warning on this one. And we'll title this potentially invalid data in the title box. And our error message will be the projected maximum is 500,000. However, comma, if actual sales are higher, enter the actual value. So it's just going to give us a warning message. Okay? Again, when we did data validation, we set up our maximum in this particular case. We put an input message. It's called sales data and says enter the sales amount for the respective month. And we get a warning message. It says potentially invalid data. And here's the error message that will occur. And we'll go ahead and click OK. Now, in cell D4, where it says $47,000, we're just going to type a number that's greater than 500,000. We're going to type 600,000 and hit enter. And when we do, we get an error message. It says potentially invalid data. This is a warning. It doesn't stop us. Potentially invalid data. The projected maximum is 500,000. However, if actual sales are higher, enter the actual value. Would you like to continue? And we're going to go ahead and click yes. And when we click yes, the new total comes in. But if we had made a mistake and maybe we meant to put 60,000 instead of 600,000, we could change it back to the number that we wanted. Okay, now let's go ahead and learn one more thing. In the data validation window, we are going to do circle invalid data. Okay? Because we had written a rule for B4 through D4 and we have a value that is outside the boundaries of that rule, when we do the data validation and circle invalid data, this appears. Again, if I wanted to make one more, I could put this one as 595,000 and hit enter. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes, I'm sure. And if I wanted to, again, go to data validation, circle invalid data, it circled both amounts. Okay, that is our lesson on Chapter 9, Multiple Sheet Workbook Management. And in hands-on exercise number 3, we did a lot with formula audits and data validation.